We ain't done. Shine among the stars till the morning sun. The story's far from over, so we live on. We still hold the pen for what is written. We keep on riding, we keep on fighting. We know that we ain't done. Walking through the valley, some days it ain't working, I work it out with a valley. The chalk in my hand ain't for the dead, it's for my tally. Points up on the board, keeping the score, cause we get knocked down, but we get back up. We ain't staying down, no need for backup. Standing my ground, I come from black mud, I come from black love, and I'm saying that we ain't done. Shine among the stars till the morning sun. The story's far from over, so we live on. We still hold the pen for what is written. We keep on riding, we keep on fighting. We know that we ain't done. We keep on fighting, we know that we ain't done. We keep on fighting.
Feel it in my soul as I hold the pain. I've been here before, I'ma find a way. Breaking through the chains of the enemy. Letting go of yesterday, eyes to the sky, I'ma elevate, elevate.
Gotta keep pedaling, bounce back gelatin before the dust settling. We telling them we ain't done. Shine among the stars till the morning sun. The story's far from over, so we live on. We still hold the pen for what is written. We keep on riding, we keep on fighting. We know that we ain't done. We keep on fighting, we know that we ain't done. We know that we ain't done. Oh no, 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 we ain't done. Oh no, 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 oh no, no, we ain't done.
A trend in the STDs going all the way up. What's that's my favorite song. I'm going all the way up. It's
Especially in
like what
Houston.
like what are we doing? Sometimes you got to come back to reality. Like, what are we saying to our children? Because now, what is this thing called? Furry? The kids get to go to school and act like a doggone pet? Like, what? Excuse me? You mean you tell me you sending not Tom out, you sending Charles the cat out? Like, we teaching our kids that we can do whatever and just it's okay. Everybody had to accept bad behavior. Like, what is wrong with discipline? I'm big on discipline, as y'all can kind of tell. It's like, why can't we do discipline? What is the harm in discipline? Hey, whatever method work for your kid is whatever work for your kid, but why can't we do discipline? Why is it, oh, that's little Tommy, he'll work it out when he get older, but yet little Tommy over here trying to kill up everybody because everybody's not on the same page with him or going with his antics. And I'm gonna kick it off the loss because I know that poison over there is brewing.
Thank you, Ashley. To answer HD's original question, who has the gender war affect the most? I'm gonna be the one to go out and say it. It's the women, and I'm gonna tell you why. There's this line in the Bible that gives us a clue to what's really going on, and he said, God told Adam, "Who told you you were naked? Who told you that you were not enough?" I think women have been sold a bill of goods that they're not enough. And to me, I think that's the insecurity that the enemy plays on women as if they're not enough. They will tell women, if you buy this, you'll be more beautiful. Or if you get this job, you'll have more respect. If you do this, then you'll do that. When God put you on this earth, he already gave you dominion over everything. So who told you you were naked? I think a lot of times, man, we have to get back to realize exactly what's going on. The reason why I say it's women is because men are not affected by what somebody else say, so to speak, because we deal with that a different kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Either we handle this like some gentlemen or we can get into some gangster stuff. You know, that's how men handle things. But for the most part, we're diplomatic because we don't want to come to fisticuffs, you know, because at the end of the day, we're going to wind up going to get a beer anyway. You know what I'm saying? So the reason why I say it's women is because men so much fundamentally haven't changed. Men still want to provide. Men still want to do the things that men do. They still want to take care of their women. But for some reason, someone told women that they were naked. Who told you you were not enough? If you go back and you look at the pyramids in antiquity of all over the world, there are men and women there of equal stature. Women have always played a pivotal role in society. And for someone to come up and tell you that you were not enough, I ask again the question, who told you you were naked? And I'll put it to you like this. Women fall prey to a lot of manipulation. And I think sometimes we use that in a wrong way. Sometimes we can listen to other women as a means for survival. You know, there's danger over here. You know, I heard that there's danger over here. Don't go over there. But at the same time, I don't think if we filter things enough the right way, we can do more harm than good. I'll give you an example. The aforementioned 4B movement is something that is of extremists in South Korea. And basically the whole gist of that particular situation was that the women are saying that, hey, there's not enough money to raise kids. They want to be married. So much so is that they have services that they pay for matchmaking to find a husband. But for those who want to hijack someone else's talking points, they will take that, if you haven't done the research, and attach it to something else, pretty much how this more recent feminist movement have done. And generally, if you haven't been tuned to listen to those type of things, as we do in these spaces, because we do our research, because we hate having egg on our face when we come back and find out we're wrong. You know, we go back and we find out, oh, this is just another attempt of somebody else trying to soothe their inadequacies by hijacking somebody else's situation, when somebody else's situation is completely different. It's the women who have been affected the most because somebody told them they were naked. And I'm challenging women today. Ask yourself, who told you that? And why did they tell you that? Because God himself already said you're enough. As a matter of fact, God himself already said that you are the answer, which ultimately answers the major question of this podcast. He looked at Adam and said, Adam, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make you a helper. And he gave woman the right to be the answer. He told you that you were enough. So again, ladies, who told you you were naked? Sorrel.
So I've enjoyed everybody's answers. I need to take the temperature though. Is everybody in here Christian faith for the most part?
We're not
For
Christian.
the most part.
No Christian faith. Okay. Yeah, because
He was raised Muslim. I was raised Christian.
okay. Yeah, so I'm kind of understanding some of the dynamics and what we talk about. So here's my answer, humble dad. I agree with the majority of what everyone has said, but we're so broken and we're so ununified that we can make a distinction between who is affected the most. You know, if you're shot in your leg, your leg feels it, but your whole body does. When you're connected, it affects who more because we're unified. And I think this speaks to where we are, particularly as Black people, that This is the crux of how arguments begin. We start trying to quantify who has more hurt. So women are suffering more, men are suffering more, the kids are suffering more. And then once we have that mindset, we start to put all the attention to assuage and to soothe the pain that the one party is speaking of, whether or not that pain is justified or not. And then somebody is neglected because we are so busy isolating instead of unifying. So in short, my answer is everybody's affected. It's impossible for me to love my wife and her hurt and I not hurt. It's impossible for my sons and my daughters to hurt and I not be affected by that. And I think this speaks to our deep need to reconnect at a level that's deeper than these political phases that we're going through, that weaponizes movements, that takes on the worst of people's situation, and then we marketize it and then we call it suffering. Let me just be frank. America has a way of sampling culture and making it our own because it creates a narrative and we get a chance to market to you, right? So if I market oppression, then now I can tell you there's a certain way you need to go get all these degrees and spend $30,000 on a degree and be in debt for years on a degree that you'll never use. You see what I'm saying? Because you've taken suffering and you've marketed it. Black people, we don't got time to be looking at who's it affected the most. It's affected us all. If my wife is hurt, I'm hurt. If the husband is hurt, wife, you should be hurt. We got to get back together as a family. When one hurts, we all hurt. And it's no longer about, I need you to cater to me. I cater to you. We got to cater to one another, and we got to let the healing begin. That's my answer, Humble Dan. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, man, that was good. I was transitioning to think about the question. I was on the side of that. I understood everybody's position. My first thought process was that it was the children being affected. Then I was like, okay, the men are being affected. Then I was like, okay, the women are being affected. But if I'm in that mind space, then that obviously means that everybody is being affected, because when a war is taking place, everybody's going to get hit in some particular magnitude, right? Whether it's the man that went out to war, he's gone. The wife is affected because she now has to take on the burden of him not being there, and as well as having to deal with the grief of herself as well as the children, right? So if we look at it from that disposition, everybody is affected, and everybody may be affected differently. And so what has happened, as I'll transition to the last question, what has happened is that the advertisement of the media towards the woman has been similar to how the devil did, right? The devil did not attack Adam. He attacked the woman, even though Adam was there. He went for her because she was the weaker vessel, not in the sense of that she is not equal or in that particular magnitude, but that he knew that he could talk to her as opposed to talk to the man. And so if you fast forward to where we are now and how marketing works, marketing tries to get to the person that they know that will spend the most and the most often. And if you go ahead and go look at the research and you'll see that single women spend more than married women. Okay. And so if I can advertise to keep women single, then that means that I know that the economy is going to flourish a little bit more as it relates to financially. However, they're cool with the detrimental phase of the family going down. So what I'm saying is, and I continue to say this, is that if we could have, it would be a different situation if men were in the house, but it's not. That's not where we at. Where we are is that women are single mothers, and I was raised by a single mother, right? Shout out to my mom. She be in these chats as well. However, she could not teach me how to be a man. Okay, there's no way that she could teach me how to be a man. Okay, so as a single mother, and any single mother, what I would advise with you having a kid in the household is for you to live in a way that you would want that kid to say, you know what, my mom was so dope. I would want to be with somebody like her, or I want to be like her. But however, what's going on right now, that a lot of women are on this rampage of, I'm independent, but I want to be married, and I want to have a man take care of me, but I don't want to do wifely duties. Like, that's what's going on in the space. And I kid you not, I thought it was not the case until 3 years ago, until I got into this space. And being on panels, doing research, talking to women, talking to men, what has happened is that the media is now saying, listen, the best way to get to the family is through the woman. They did it when what was it? Civil rights took place, when feminism took place. That's what is going on right now. And so I'm saying that the answer to us right now is obviously to come together, but we got to say, where's our pain point at? And our pain point right now, and what I've seen, is that if women would say, you know what, I told you this before, Jamie, if women would set the standard. Hello, Miss Shani? If women would set the standard.
Me?
Oh no, you was.
I'm sorry, you're trying to get the charger.
Oh, no worries. Okay. Would set a new boundary of what type of man can enter their space. Dudes have to change. We have to change, right? I don't know if it's. I'm guy. What's his? He's a kickboxer, real famous dude, real kind of buff. He just recently got married. He's semi-famous in the Black community. He probably like a C-lister. And he was talking about how he knew that he did not qualify for the woman that he had, and he had to change his behavior. And he had never been faithful to a woman before, but because of her disposition, he had to change. The reason why it's like that now is because women are in control of who they date. Prior to, they had to come through the dad, but it's not like that anymore. So women women that are not from a place of being raised by a mom and a dad, the game has changed. And so you have to change your boundaries. You should not let a dude into you without being married. You should not let a man even enter your equation if he don't talk about marriage. If he not led by if whatever the religion is, mine is Christianity. If he not led by somebody of spiritual substance, it's going to be hard for him to be a moral, upstanding dude. So with that being said, I'm going to end the show like this. And y'all gonna keep it short for me, okay? Because I already been on my high horse. And since we're talking about women, this is all I want. I've already said my piece. You say yours. How can women help end the gender war? How can women help end the gender war? What you got, Jamie? We'll go Jamie, Ash, Lost, and Sahel.
Well, it would be applying the things that you had said, but also creating spaces for women to hold women accountable, right? So seriously, like really, being like, hey, I thought you said you weren't going to date that type of person no more, sis. Why are you doing that? Like really teaching one another how to have a higher standard and sticking to it. And that's it. Really, it is really investing in one another and wholeheartedly. Without like ulterior motives or unhealed, trauma, and you're pushing that off on your sister, and you're like, you don't need a man. You're trying to keep them single too, but trying to teach one another how to be wives. First, how to submit to Christ, because if you're not able to submit to Christ, you really won't be able to submit to your husband, right? And so taking your relationship with your Creator seriously will ultimately teach you how to be a wife and to pick the right man, like, and how to, when he says that he's found you, to know that that is the man that God sent. You know what? I'm gonna add one more thing. That a woman should be so hid in Christ that he has to find Christ to find her, right? It's that covering and that protection to be under the shadow of the Almighty. And therefore, by being under that shadow, that also helps train the women around you, and then your husband, and hopefully men do the same thing too. Again, but men will have to step up because there's not going to be accessibility to women like it is now. I guess to my question too, and this is my throwing out there for men, is how do we, the women that are women of the night, right? Like, how do we stop that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of, I'm just trying to figure out like, what do men have to have a standard too in this? Is it just going to be?
We talked about that last week.
Okay. So we're gonna go.
We talked about the men's position for the past 2 weeks.
Okay.
What guys need to do. Remember, to answer that question, we talked about specifically. We said, dudes, y'all need to stay off these sites.
Right.
We talked about that. We said, men, you're giving women an out. We talked about that.
Okay. And the women, I guess we really need to take those type of women under our wings.
If so, true.
Yeah, we will have to, if we take them under their wings, find their pain points and work on healing one another, they'll stop too. They're looking for something, they're missing something. So that's my answer. I am going to go with Miss Shawnee.
What's the question again? I'm sorry, we missed it. The battery went off.
No worries. The question that we ending off the show is, how can we talk? Well, y'all wasn't here, but we've talked about men. But how can women help in gender war?
Oh, wow. I think that sometimes we do get caught. Now, I just tend to have a broader way of looking at things and not look at things from one perspective, because when you do that, you can't get a full picture, right? So I try to see things from all ends of the spectrum, and sometimes my opinion about things may come off as very strong, but I think I'm just more passionate about things in general. But I think that women can do things like what I do and what we do, and instead of pushing. We talked about 4B on our channel, but it was only briefly, right? Because we didn't want to perpetuate it and keep it going, because there are some very lovely people out there, some very lovely men out there, some very lovely women out there. But that does not negate the fact that there are people with a narrow, one-sided perspective on things that keep people butting heads against one another. So what we do is try to put out positive things that people can do in relationships. And I speak about positive things that people can do in relationships in general, from both sides. We try not to make it a woman-man thing, because when you do that, here come the men fighting, then here come the women fighting. So we try to make it a thing that both sides can do to make relationships better in general. And I feel like if women speak up a little bit more on the positive attributes of marriage, and people that are in positive and good relationships with men, like the one that I have, I think he's positively the best man on the entire planet. I might be biased, but that is just me. I think if we speak more to positive relationships, the positive attributes of the men in our lives, I think things can turn around a lot better. But a lot of our voices are not being heard. A lot of times when we are pushing positivity, we are getting pushed down and not getting shown by these algorithms, because they would like to perpetuate what do you call it? The negative, right? Because the salaciousness of everything, because it sells, right? It gets people all fired up. But I feel like if we collectively, like you guys, are pushing out a more positive material, that will help people see things a little bit differently.
That's what's up. And just so you know, nobody takes offense to anything what you say and who you are. This particular place I've designed it to be for you to say what you want to say And as long as you are saying it respectfully, that's all that matters to me. So, the dialogue is always welcome, even when because people grow when there's a disagreement more so than you're always on the same page.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? I think you're going to go ahead. You want to choose somebody?
Sir Hill.
Oh, you going outside the box? Okay.
That's how I do.
That's what's up.
So I want to give everybody a disclaimer. I am a traditional man. I want to set this out so you guys don't look at me and think that I'm being chauvinistic or anything of that nature. I'm a traditional man. I'm unapologetic about it. Women need to be quiet and follow.
Just apologize for it, sir. You literally just apologize.
Yeah, women need to learn how to submit and follow the man that's in their life, and quit worrying about power struggles. Power for what? Like, what do we need power for? What do you need it for? Like, what are we going to do with this power except for struggle? And who's going to be the lead? Who's going to be the head? Women have to get to a place where if you want a man, quit being one. Let your man be who he is and lead, and find some value in substance and in some joy in being a woman. If you have a strong man, the way women weaken men, she is the closest thing that can make him be insecure or to make him confident. And if you want to end the gender war, just stop fighting. Why do we have to go and fight the world and fight at work and fight to be something, fight in our blackness, fight everybody, and then come to fight with you because you have an inner conflict where you feel you need to have power to win? What? To win? What are we using this power for? Who is this power against? Ladies, I need you, I need my ladies, particularly my Black sisters. Y'all have sold in and bought into this rhetoric that is dangerous, making you feel, you talked about Eve. The thing that the serpent did to her was made her believe she needed more. She had everything. She didn't have a job. Her job was to make sure that the one was working was good. Everything else was taken care of. But she had to know some more. She had to have some more knowledge, had to know some more wisdom. And then as a result of her messing up, because she has the influence over her husband, man has the authority over woman, but women have the influence over her man. She influenced him to do things that he shouldn't have done. I want my Black women to be okay with being women, to be okay with being loved, to be okay with being soft. And this does not mean that you can't be soft or intelligent or educated. You can't be industrious. It just means that you're not supposed to be who you are against me. There should be some pride for you to say that you're my wife. It should not just be where I have to be doting of my wife and have to dummy down, and I can't let my nuts hang because she's going to be offended and because she got nuts too. No, it's a reason you got a womb. We both can't have wombs. We won't have a productive family that way. I need our women, particularly women of faith, to have faith. And if it don't match with the word, if it doesn't match with your belief system, then just stop doing it. My sisters, let your man be a man and be okay with being his lead. And then men have a social responsibility as well to make sure that we're not domineering and that we deal with our wives according to knowledge, and that the destiny, that the gifts and talents in her have been nurtured to the degree where she is better as a person because of the influence that we have over her life. So it ain't just men getting something out the deal, women are getting it as well. Because of course, us men, we love our women.
That's what's up. Who you got going?
Let's go with I'm gonna go with my bearded, bald-headed brother, brother Mondi.
All right. Well, I appreciate what you were saying there. And just to kind of circle back on what you were saying a little bit, and I think it might have been on something that I said earlier about power. The power that I'm talking about is not power against their spouse. It's power together. You see, it's both of them bringing their power together to be a power couple so that they can move forward in the world and be powerful together. It's not about implementing power against somebody, showing that, well, I'm the boss or I've got this and that. No, that's not what I meant. What I mean is we acknowledge that this person here is valuable and brings something to the table that can help us become better. You don't have a Barack Obama without a Michelle. You know, you have to have somebody there who is, you know, for lack of a better term, because I'm an amateur in the Bible, but equally yoked. You know, they have to be right where you are. I have that. I have a partner. We share power in the sense that we share duties, we share thoughts, we share ideas. If there's something that I'm lacking, she picks up. If there's something that she's lacking, I pick up. We know our strengths and we know our weaknesses, and we know where to fill in to help each other. I'm happy that I have that, because this is, if something were to happen to me, I know she could step in. So I would say for women, how they could end the gender wars is, you know, just acknowledge, like I think Law said it, you're good enough. And I'll add to that you're worth something. You have value. You add value. You can bring something to the table. So I'll leave it at that. And I think is it Ash? Did you go?
It's on Ash.
Ash, it's on me.
I would say stop with the delusion. That's just pretty much it. That sums up what everybody said. It's the delusion that you feed into it with the social media. Because my thing is, I always tell my kids, do your best. Don't look for my opinion on what you need to do, because we don't have the same skill set. Like, I always brag about my oldest. She plays the trumpet. I mean, she plays it very well. And I say, go after whatever you want to do with that trumpet. If you break it, I'll buy you another one, which I just had to do and I didn't want to. But, you know, you do those things just to instill that, hey, if that's your purpose, go ahead. And I think, like, as a woman, that we don't follow through with going with our purpose. We fall in this delusional land as if, I don't even know what to call it, because it's delusional to just think that things are going to happen and it's just going to be magic and unicorns and bubblies. And no, because you have to work at something. Like, you have to sharpen your craft. Because Lost asked me a couple shows back, am I sharpening my craft to be a wife? And I had to be honest, no, I'm sharpening my craft as a mother, because that's my primary focus right now, you know? And I think when women just take a turn and just be true with yourself about where your shortcomings is. It's not a flaw. It's okay to be honest with yourself. It's okay to say you're hurt. It's okay. And I think that's another place that we don't allow ourselves to be okay. We put in and play into with this delusion. And that's why I say it's the delusion that we need to stop. Because if we end the delusion, we can fix ourselves, and then we can go out and help everybody else. But we can't do that if we're in the Delulu, as my sister called it, Friday, the Delulu land. If you in Delulu land, how you know what's reality? Like, what's with the fakeness? The blinders got to come off sometime. You got to come off. Where these ideas come from? Because some of them ain't even yours. The woman that you see that's being portrayed, that's not who you want to be. It's just a character to play, like Jamie said earlier, on your emotions. But that's not even who you are. So why play into that role? Know who you are. Self-reflect and stay out of Delulu land. Because you got to come out of there sometime. Because if you don't, you're just going to get hurt. And that's the problem with some of these relationships. Like I said, the delusion goes into many aspects, but we're going to keep it short. But if you come out of delusion and live in reality and just be honest with yourself, I think we can end this gender war. Because I don't even understand how it got started. That's another topic for my lack of education, because, you know, I ain't been in the dating scene. So I'm just saying, I don't even understand how it starts, because why are you fighting with somebody that you want to be with? That's the thing I never understood. Like, how you going to be with this man, but you're fighting over finances, the kids, the food, whatever, when neither one of y'all have invested in time. Y'all just invested in the pictures. Again, the delusion of having a good relationship, but nobody's actually doing the foundation, the building of the relationship. And who didn't go? Lost?
Everybody went.
Oh, I was last and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Last shall be first.
I don't think Lost win.
Lost, you didn't go on this? Oh,
That's
my
what I'm
bad.
saying. I thought Lost.
You know, I only speak when I'm spoken to, sir.
That's
Yeah.
my fault, bro. Go ahead and wrap it up with a put a bow on it.
Listen, one of my favorite movies is 300. And when Leonidas met against with the other clans that he wanted to war with, and the guy looked at him, he was like, "You only have 300 men." He said, "I got more than what you think." And he looked at the other guy, and Leonidas looked at his arm. And he said, "You, sir, what do you do?" He said, "I'm a farmer." And looked at the other guy. He said, "You, sir, what do you do?" He said, "I'm a carpenter." And then he looked over his Spartans. He said, "Spartans, what is your profession?" And they said, "Oh," you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Those guys knew who they were. They knew that they were warriors. You see what I'm saying? They knew what their profession was. So to answer the question is, how can women help the gender war? Be better wives. Be better women. You know what I'm saying? Be better mothers. That's what you're good at. You see what I'm saying? That is your profession. You know what I mean? I always say that men make terrible wives and women make even terrible husbands. You know what I'm saying? And Ashley, I tell you, I say this all the time. I say selfish women shouldn't be wives. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they will take the focus off what's more important, which is the family, you know, and take it and put it on themselves. Well, how does that service the family if the ego for the wife is always being serviced? You see what I'm saying? And I would say that with men as well, too. How can you be a better leader as a man if everything goes to you? You know what I mean? But I think it is something ingrained in men where they want to do for the family. Nobody questions it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I've never heard another man say, "Hey, man, you know, I got these new J's, but what are your kids wearing, brother?" You know what I'm saying? How are you taking care of your family? We will quickly check another man and say, "Hey, man, how your family doing? Why are you out here messing around?" You know what I'm saying? How's your wife doing? You know, we'll kind of check each other, but I don't think most times women don't do that. You know, it's like, girl, you better have a backup plan, or you better have some money stashed aside in case things don't go right. You know what I mean? But my thing is this: I think you should probably be better at customer service at being women. Think about it. Whenever you go to Chick-fil-A, it's a difference. You know, you walk into the door and they greet you with a smile. You know what I mean? The food may not be that much different, but it's the atmosphere. You know what I mean? They always say it's my pleasure. And you kind of believe it too. You know what I mean? If you go to Burger King, it's like you sitting 20 minutes in the drive-through, and it's like, brother, what are y'all doing back there? Y'all killing the cow? You know, y'all raising the baby
Would you pull
cow?
up a little bit, sir? Would you pull up? We'll bring it out to you.
I'm just saying, pull up to the front. We'll get to you when we can. And to me, I think most men will look at women these days of being Burger King, you know, employees. It's like it's never their pleasure. You know, it's just pull around. I get to you when I can. You know what I mean? I was raised on women who were saying it's my pleasure. Women came to us and said, "Baby, have you had anything to eat today? You know what I mean? How are you feeling today?" And to me, that resonates because that lets them know that I'm important. And if I'm important, that means I'm going to ask somebody else the same thing. "Hey, how are you doing today, sister? How are you doing today, brother?" You know what I mean? Because you never know where that love is going to go when you let it go. So to answer your question, Sir Hale, how can women help the gender war? Just be better women. That's it. That's all I got to say. Thank you for having me.
Man, thank y'all for being here. It's been a dope show. Y'all have been marvelous and wonderful. Thank you for your time. Hey, make sure y'all check out Lost in Translation on every syndication in these streets. You got Sir Hale Speaks. He's always posting something on IG or the YouTube for sure. I think y'all doing a conversation with women, aren't you? Is that every now and then? So y'all just follow.
Yeah, so I'll be back doing my shows starting this week.
That's a bet. Okay, so follow him, and then Ash is on IG. Her and her bus routes. You know what I'm saying? All those things in between. And then Ash, Shani, and Monday. How can we find you? I know you're on IG. Are y'all also?
Yeah, we're on IG. We're on YouTube and TikTok
Under the same name, Ash, Shani, and Monday.
Yeah.
That's a bet. We really appreciate y'all being here. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all.
Learned a lot from you guys, and we would love to hear from you again.
Absolutely. I'll definitely be reaching out. And a shout out to It's Me, Jamie. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for being here as usual. And y'all can catch her on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You know what I'm saying? She sends out daily, I guess, inspirational pretty much every day. So shout out to her. I really want to thank y'all. It's been real. I felt like a Pentecostal church. Y'all just didn't know when to let it go. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna let it go right here. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this. You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.
The boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this. You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. What's up? It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. Got a great show for you this evening. How do I know? Because I said so, and we typically do. We're going to give you solutions to the problems that are simply having problems in the world today. In backstage, we've already got people riled up, ready to go. We're going to be talking about how to avoid toxic relationships. Been a very much of a key topic in these YouTube streets, Instagram, wherever you may be listening. There's always a conversation about toxicity. So, but before we get started, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. And then every guest that comes up, make sure you go check them out because they got something good to say. So our question that we have starting off is, what's the number one quality you look for in a partner? What's the number one quality you look for in a partner? And I'm sure she ready. They don't even know which one I'm talking about. Welcome to the stage, Miss Ash in the.
I'm ready.
What's up?
Oh, nothing much. Let's see. The quality I look for is transparency. Like, how much are you willing to show your authentic self? Because I don't like dealing with masks. I mean, I barely wear makeup, and when I do, it's really on special occasions because that takes a lot of time. And I don't want you to take time into building a fake character for me to deal with. And I have run into that. That's the only reason why I say that is because people think they know what you want instead of getting to know you to know what you actually want.
So you want the truth up front.
Yeah, true. Give me the truth. Because if I know you, that means I don't have to walk on eggshells about certain things. If I know saying you're stupid or something like that, that's a trigger because it may have happened like when you were little, somebody may have called you stupid. No shots, no pun intended to nobody. But if I know that about you, we'll avoid certain words. Okay, you're a little ignorant today, so saying okay, a little stupid. But hey, whatever. I digress.
I'm interested to see if anybody respond to you about that particular statement. But we gonna get to we gonna go to the next one. Hey, with none other than the one, the only, Mr. Antagonist himself. Prototype in the building. I was just kidding, but you are sometimes, bro. You know it.
Can't even help it. I don't even know what I'm doing it. But it's been a minute since I've had this question, right? Maybe like 15 years off the game at this point. But it was probably cooperation. You know what I mean? Like once I realized somebody was cool, we're not going to trip about situations going on, or somebody that can go with the flow of whatever the day is coming with. So cooperation has to be the number one thing I always look for.
That's a bet. That's a bet. Cooperation. I like that one. Hey, and then you already know, hey, I would say that she is in this space and doing some different things about trying to talk to women about what it's like to be a wife and the things that we have not or was not taught to be a wife from the women's perspective. None other than it's me.
What's going on? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
The answer to my question now, like the answer to this question for me now is the fear of the Lord. Like if he ain't scared of God, you know what I'm saying? I don't want nothing to do with him because, and I mean that in the most respectful way, because if he's accountable to God, then I don't necessarily have to worry about things, him being stupid or doing stupid things per se. So might as well be the fear of the Lord for real.
Okay, that's a bet. Appreciate you. Listen, I'm sure somebody want to say something, but we're gonna bring everybody.
Oh yeah, no, Prototype want to say something. His face was like,
we gonna wait. We gonna bring because I'll be Pentecostal in this space. So we gonna hold on for a moment. Hey, none other than we gonna welcome the very white of the YouTube streets. Also, I would say somewhat of a Socrates, Mr. Lost in Translation. What's up, honey?
Good evening, sir. How are you this evening?
Good, bro. Good to see you.
Good. Listen, one of the things I look for is empathy and understanding. A non-toxic person shows empathy, understanding, and compassion. They care about your well-being and they can put themselves in your shoes. You don't ever want to get into a situation where they just really don't care nothing about you. You know, just whatever it is they can get out of you, and that's it. You want somebody to be able to understand exactly what you're going through, and you want to be able to do that for them as well. Because after all, man, life is long, and you want to be able to make sure that you're with somebody who actually cares. So that's my main thing, empathy and understanding. Mute must have got you on with that.
It automatically put me on mute, my bad. Good stuff, man. I appreciate you for being here as usual.
My pleasure.
And then none other than, I've been knowing this young man for a minute. I call him the young OG, none other than Mr. Trio AC.
Oh boy, what's going on, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm amazing, man. Amazing. Appreciate you having me. Panelists, what up, baby? Y'all good?
What's happening, Troy?
I love to hear it. As far as the quality, man, I think first thing come to mind is selflessness. I think if you have somebody that's selflessness, that opens the door to everything else that you're gonna need from them. Whether it's them being held accountable, you being prioritized, them putting value in things that you may like and they may not necessarily care too much for. But when you move with selflessness, that opens up the door for everything else. The communication is easier because it's not, you are what you being selfish, so you're not really wanting to, accept what they or trying to hear them out the way that you may should. And I think there's a lot of people that go into relationships lacking selflessness, even though they claim to have it. And one thing about a relationship is, like I always say, is going to put a magnifying glass on who you really are, better than anything that I've ever seen. So yeah, selflessness, man.
That's a good one. I think the one that I would say that embodies mostly what all of you have said is Christ-centered. Christ-centered meaning that they are going to be selfless. They're going to think of me as well as think of themselves. They're willing to follow the plan that I put in place. And also being able to give, not necessarily guidance, but also some thought behind what it is that they see me doing as well. So I think of a woman that's able to say, you know what, I know how to follow Christ, so I know how to follow you. That would be one of the number one things for me, right? And everybody has something different, but there is, I think, an outline of what we all want, and that's for people to be themselves, right? And so that way we can move accordingly, as opposed to dating your shadow or your ghost instead of dating the person who you are. And I think that's what we're going to get into. That's going to help us with the the conversation this evening. So the first question, so that we can kind of get a context on the topic, is what is an item you would describe as toxic? What is an item that you would describe as toxic? Okay, and we'll start with Jamie.
Like a household item or just anything in general?
Anything in general, just not people.
Okay, bleach. Bleach is toxic. You can't ingest bleach. I mean, it cleans, but it's also toxic at the same time. So
Okay, got you.
that's
Bleach.
my answer. And then let's go with ash. Yep.
You think you cute. You gonna take my doggone answer, there go call on me. I'm gonna go with the next household cleaning product. Comet. The old one where you sprinkled, you can digest it. Yes, it's gonna clean some stuff. That's how you know you're really cleaning and scrubbing. But that powder getting in your mouth is something wrong. Too much of it is a bad thing. Next person, prototype.
I'm gonna go with alcohol. Although you can have a good time, you were killing yourself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with that.
You're lagging, or is it me?
No, I'm probably lagging.
Okay, bet. Who you got going next?
Let's go with Lost.
I'm going to say ammonia, man. It cleans real good, but you can't be around it too long. You're going to get choked out. So I'm going to say ammonia, man. That's real toxic. And Trill, it's on you, my guy.
I'm going to say sage. Being on social media, man, there be some of the most toxic people in the world. They be lighting sage and just letting it all smoke around the house, trying to get the demons and get the negative energy out the house. Meanwhile, you are the demon and you are the negative energy. So I think, it's not a coincidence that so many people gravitate to sage. So that's what I'm going with.
That threw me off. I didn't see sage coming, bro. I didn't. I would say if I had to choose something of an item that is toxic, I would say the first thing that comes to mind is gas, right? Gas. I mean, the reason why, but it's toxic, but it's good for an engine, or it's good for cooking, or it's good for, if you're trying to utilize it to barbecue or grill. However, that's not something that you want to intake, right? However, even though these elements that we talked about as being toxic, I want to understand to some degree, why have we now talked about toxic relationships? Like the word has been transitioned to be connected to relationships. And so my question to y'all is, do you believe that currently how we look at it is toxicity or toxic? Is it universal? Or is it just a United States type of thing as it relates to being toxic? All right. And we're going to start with Lost. Do you believe that toxic is universal?
Anytime somebody says the word toxic, I'm always going to have my red flag up, man, because 9 times out of 10, when somebody says that somebody's being toxic, you know what it sounds to me? It sounds like that other person is just not doing what the other person wants them to do. You know what I'm saying? Because in any other situation, it's fine. But the minute that somebody asks them to do something and they don't feel like doing it, then it's toxic. So I think it's probably universal, you know what I mean, across the world. It doesn't have to be something that's here in America. It could be abroad. You know what I'm saying? Anytime somebody says, hey, I don't want to do what you want me to do when you want me to do it, then all of a sudden you get labeled toxic,
Okay.
I'm going to roll with prototype this time.
I don't know. I lost the question because of what you said.
Is toxic universal? Because it's used a lot. So what do you think about as it relates to being a universal term?
I would say yes, it is universal. It comes off different when the toxic person is calling somebody else toxic. But yeah, I would definitely say it's a universal term. so I want to say there's a standard for what's considered toxic, but like I said, when somebody toxic says somebody else is toxic, then it blurs the line a little bit.
So you think that the person that's saying they're toxic, that somebody else is toxic, that's the toxic person?
Yeah, generally, yeah. So if a person like, oh, this person is toxic, they're probably the toxic one, because that other person is really probably trying to work it out, being compassionate, be empathetic. You know what I'm saying? They're not saying they're toxic, so it's a weird game. So you know what I mean? It's one of those things where you can't be the one that say it first, type deal. Like, you know what I mean? So
no worries, I got you. I just wanted to kind of set the stage for sure. Who you got?
Let's go with Trill.
Toxic is definitely universal, but I think that's because it's so subjective. You know, going back to what bro said earlier, you know, it's simply a lot of times coming from just somebody doing something that you don't like. And it may be right for you, or they may be telling you the truth, or they may be dealing with you in a way that you open the door for them too. But because you don't like the outcome, now that person is toxic. No. That person been who they was when you first met them. You was letting stuff slide that shouldn't have been let slide, thinking that you was gonna get a different outcome than you got. But unfortunately, it went the other way. So now that person is toxic. No. You're toxic. You were toxic because your boundaries wasn't set firm enough. You toxic because your self-esteem and your confidence is not where it need to be. So that's why these people gravitate to you. So I think it's definitely universal because it's so subjective.
You just blame the victim?
Of course. Of course. Because more times than not, the victim had way more culpability in the outcome than they or the people around them are willing to admit. And we got to stop giving people a pass just because the other person had brought the straw that broke the camel back. No. It was a lot of shit that you enabled, a lot of stuff that you opened the door for that got us here. And that got to be acknowledged. If not, you're going to continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. So that's just my take on it. We're going to go with Ash.
I agree with everybody. It is universal. And the toxic pointer is probably the one that's toxic. I've been labeled as toxic, so hey, whatever. To each his own. You either take the drug or not. You either want to get better or not. That's the way I look at it. Because either way, you gonna move on.
Have you ever called somebody toxic?
No, they always call me. What? Who said it? They beat me to the punch. You know, they beat me to the punch.
So you was thinking it. You just didn't say it.
Here you go. I tell you all the time, I'm not with these new age terms. Look here. You bad for me, you bad for me. I'm finna walk away. But when you call me toxic, it's like, dude, how I'm toxic if I'm just asking you to do something that can benefit both of us? It's here you go. As my old supervisor used to say, it's a general request. It's just a general request. Either you're gonna do it or not. And to me, I feel like everybody wants to take these new terms that we done learn from the psychologists and wrap up in them and say, you're toxic, you're hurting my feelings. Baby, level up with your feelings.
Okay, level up with your feelings. Who you got?
Jamie.
Yes, it's a universal term. And that's all I'm going to say. Everybody else said everything. So it's kind of like if I say anything else, it's just redundant. And I'm just kind of wasting airtime. So let's go. I want to be first next time, though, so I can say something.
Oh, so now you want to be first. Like you always tell me, don't call on you first. Okay. I got you. You're going to get the first question. So I would say, based on what I've seen, yes, toxic is a universal term because of how people see the world, right? People want to be able to say that somebody else is doing something wrong. That's what it seems like, what I see. And so people don't want to say, you know what, it was me that was the issue, as opposed to just saying it's you. Because all of us could, what's crazy, this is the crazy thing to me, that people will say, everybody's not perfect, I'm not perfect. But then when somebody points out your imperfection, then it's a problem. Like it's just baffling. It's just baffling to me. So yes, I believe it's a universal term. Even when I lived in India, it was the same thing, right? People would point out that somebody else was doing something when it's clearly them that's the problem, right? So that's kind of like channeling where we're going to be going and talking about how to avoid these toxic relationships, seeing as though that it's a universal term. This is a conversation that everybody can I believe learn from. So with my next question or topic, I want to ask the question, how do you, I'm sorry, I apologize, I missed it. What does a toxic relationship look like? What does a toxic relation look like? And we already know who we going to first. We ain't got to guess. We already know, right? Do I need to? Okay.
No. And I'm not ready, but I'm gonna give what I think a toxic relationship looks like.
James.
I want to go first because I want something to say. I want to say something, right? Like, is that being toxic right now? Am I being toxic in this situation?
Yes, you're being toxic.
It feels like
example. All right.
You're being toxic.
You literally said,
yeah.
Can I go first?
I meant it too. And I'm gonna ride this out.
Around the word toxic, just so you know.
Yeah, I just want to like this good example.
Go ahead.
No, toxic in a relationship looks like, well, really what I just did, but it's also the ability to be selfish. It's two individuals who come in with the ideal of what they want and not willing to compromise on either end. So that's what I've seen usually happens is a power struggle because somebody came in lying and another person came in lying, and then they want to kind of manipulate each other into being who and what they want to be, what they want them to be. Do you get what I'm saying? So that is my basic definition of a toxic relationship. And then we'll go with the new person that pulled up, Mr. Viral.
Mr. Viral. What's up, sir?
What's the deal, man? Can you repeat the question for me? I came in on the tail end of that.
Hey, absolutely. It's what does a toxic relationship look like?
It got many forms. I would describe it as anything that's not conducive to the mission. So that could be from a male perspective or the female perspective. If y'all in a relationship and y'all not on the same path, and what she's doing is counterproductive to the mission of what he's trying to lead her to, that's toxic. If he's leading her to things that's counterproductive to success of the relationship, that's toxic. Like, we only just think of drama, like, oh, he's cheating, she's cheating. There's all different type of forms of toxic. There's no one label on it. So I would say anything that's counterproductive to success to your relationship is toxic for sure.
Anything that's counterproductive is toxic. That's a good thought. Who you got going next?
Man, let me pass it off to my boy Trill, man.
Bet. Man, what's toxic? I think toxicity in a relationship looks like a relationship that's one-sided. I think it's a lot of people that get into relationships to where the leverage is so much on one side that the other person is trying to basically fight to prove themselves instead of them coming into it both feeling privileged to be there. I think that's where most relationships go wrong at, ironically, before they even begin. If both people don't feel like it's a privilege to be there, y'all have no chance of the relationship surviving, because the one with the leverage is going to move like that, whether it's some kind, because I feel like you're not going nowhere anyway, right? So I could do what I want to do. I can neglect, I can, not value you, not prioritize you, whatever the case, and I know you're not going nowhere. But the whole time, ironically, from the other end, instead of like realizing that and seeing that this person ain't really valuing me that way and just walking, they got an urge to kind of prove themselves, prove that I belong here. So I'm gonna go harder, even though I'm not getting what I want in return, because they just ain't seeing all parts of me. You know what I'm saying? Or they done been through a lot. You get to making excuses for why they not giving you what it is that you need. So it's gonna be a relationship where you're gonna forever be trying to prove yourself. Even with men going into relationships with insecure women. To where it's like now it's a full-time job for me to repair your self-esteem. That's toxic. You are fighting a uphill battle because the leverage was off before the relationship even started. So that's what I would label it, man. We're gonna go to loss.
You know what does a toxic relationship look like? It comes in many forms, but the main thing that I can think of is manipulation, man. It's always trying to leverage a position to get exactly what you want. It can come in many forms. It can come in the silent treatment, withholding sex, you know what I mean, and withholding provision, you know, ignoring the other person, you know what I'm saying, that type of thing. Any type of manipulation that goes on into the relationship is toxic because you're not building trust in relationship when you do stuff like that. You know what I mean? You're always name calling and all this other stuff. You have somebody, you're the toxic one. You know, in psychology, they say if you spot it, you got it. 9 times out of 10, usually the person who's calling the other person toxic is the toxic person. You know what I'm saying? So all the name calling and the manipulation, you know what I mean, through verbal jousting, I think a lot of that is toxic. And I see a lot of that in relationships these days. I'm going to go with prototype now.
Hearing Trills and Mr. Vowell's answer, that made me think y'all the toxic ones, like what y'all just said. Man, I'm gonna piggyback. I definitely wrote down manipulation. What Trill said. I mean, what Law said. Right, manipulating your partner. At first, it was manipulating your partner in the wrong way. Right, like a pimp manipulates a female to to hit the strip. That's a toxic thing, right? But I guess manipulating at all, right, is could be considered toxic. I will also go with I'm gonna just hit the the hit on the nail, right? The nail on the head. Verbal abuse and physical abuse. That's toxic. You know what I'm saying? Like, so not to come at y'all, but what y'all said, I don't feel is necessarily toxic. It might not be the best environment, but that don't mean it's toxic. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you ever looked at your blood type and foods you can eat, there's unhealthy, neutral, and healthy. And I think what y'all mentioned were on the neutral side. It don't hurt you, but it's not gonna hurt you emotionally, but it's not gonna help you. You know what I'm saying? But let's be real that there's real verbal abuse, physical abuse out here. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of women will y'all just gave women the condition to say this relationship is toxic and they're not really being toxic. That's why I say you guys like, oh, y'all the toxic ones, because y'all just gave them a condition to say a situation is terrible, and it's not really that. It could be something that can be worked out. But if somebody's physically or verbally abusing you, that you should run away from. That's toxic. That you shouldn't ingest. Everything else, the other situations, you can kind of like, hey, we're not on the same page or this. Those things can be worked out. But if somebody is like physically and verbally abusing you, calling you like wild names, you know what I'm saying, or manipulating you to get you to do weird stuff or sign over the will to them, like, you know what I'm saying, give me the assets, like, that's toxic. So I guess I don't think Ash went though, but go ahead, Ash.
But before you go, did anybody want to respond?
Yeah, I wanted to respond to that. I can be toxic. That's true, but you know, the ladies love the toxicity though. I ain't gonna lie. But I will say it's not just verbal and physical abuse, because that's what we automatically think. You can be the nicest guy in the world and be toxic as fuck. You can be giving her emotional support. You can be non-physically abusive, but you draining y'all bank account, you crashing y'all, you damn near leading y'all into homelessness. That's toxic as fuck. But on the outer shell, you a nice guy. She explained to you, she described you to her family, excuse me, you the nicest guy on the planet. But realistically, you're leading the relationship into failure. To me, that's toxic more than a guy who might be a little verbally abusive, whatever the hell that is, because lead it up to women these days. If you speak with any type of masculinity, you're verbally abusive.
Am I a man with
any
a
type
dream?
of sternness, you're verbally abusive. If you disagree with anything women say today, you're verbally abusive. So I don't really even like that term because we all adults. So I don't go too deep with the verbal abuse, because leave it up to women. Unless you agreeing with them 100%, you're verbally abusive as a man. So I really don't get into that. Now, the physical abuse, that's a whole nother lane. I don't respect none of that, but let's just keep it real. Women are more physically abusive than men. Women stay hitting on men in relationships. 9 times out of 10, if you want to talk about domestic abuse, it's coming from a woman. We just take it because they can't hurt us and we don't talk about it like they do. But to keep it real, like I said, it doesn't have one solid face like, oh, this is toxic. Like, oh, she just hit on you. Nah, she could be nice. She could be smiling in your face and she could be fucking 100 dudes behind your back. But at home, she cooks, she cleans, she do everything. She makes sure your cup is full, but when she leave the house, she's sucking dick up the block. That's still toxic too. So it really don't have a face.
Trill, go ahead.
Yeah, and I just find it funny. Prototype let's start the convo, say I disagree with y'all, and then made my point for me on the back end. Because again, he got to talking about like something being toxic, like pimping and hoeing. You know what I'm saying? To be it on the stroll, but that's the same thing, right? There's a leverage difference here. A lot of those pimps prey on women whose self-esteem is low, may not have nowhere to stay, may not have no guidance, may not have no protection. I come in knowing that, and I just puppet string your ass because I'm dangling the carrot in front of you. Relationships work very, very similar, right? If I'm dealing with somebody and I come in and I know I'm lit and I know I'm this and I'm confident, and the thing about men, which we don't talk about a lot, is we can spot insecurity on a woman from a mile away easily. You know what I'm saying? Before we even have a conversation with her. And as a matter of fact, that kind of like dictates the way we're going to approach her a lot of times, if we're going to keep it G. But that's another conversation for another day. But my point is, there's a leverage difference. And if there's a leverage difference, and I know it is, I'm going to use that to puppet string you. And that can definitely be detrimental, more so than it would be neutral. So that's just it. But just wanted to point out, Prototype made my point for me at the end. Appreciate you, bro.
Go ahead, Prototype. What you got?
So there's times where there is leverage, right? And if I'm a good guy, generally, if you're a guy and with a woman, you generally probably have leverage because women don't mess with you unless you're better than them anyway. You know what I'm saying? So if you have leverage, so your job would just be to like nurture that, to bring her up to speed, give her some game, make sure she, you give her some tools to be a better person. It's all about using it to be better. You know what I'm saying? So yes, you are there is a leverage in that, but at the same time, she's not going to listen to you. You're not going to be able to mold her. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole job of a groom is to mold his wife. That's what a groom is. He molds his wife. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not molding her and making her better, you need leverage to even do that. If you don't have that leverage, you cannot do that. She's not going to listen to you. She's going to bite back. It's going to be a respect issue. You know what I'm saying? All the other stuff comes. So if you use it for the wrong, then yeah, that's what the pimping and the hoeing is. But if you use it for the right, you know what I'm saying? You help her push forward, get more, be better, get educated. You know what I'm saying? Be a better mom. That's what you're supposed to do with that leverage. You know what I'm saying? And that's not toxic.
All right, that's a bet.
I can tell you what's toxic. In certain situations, if you know something about somebody and you can use that to your advantage, you can actually definitely be toxic. Say, for instance, if a woman has abandonment issues, you know what I'm saying? And you know this. And, some people just can't stand to be by themselves for a while and you withdraw your presence. That's a form of manipulation. You see what I'm saying? And you could actually definitely cut off the conversation and then they'll start thinking about themselves, another person just left me. And then psychologically, they'll start to thinking, am I good enough? So you can definitely do mental damage. And sometimes the worst scars are the ones you can't see. And most people who are master manipulators, they know this going in ahead of time. So basically, if you know somebody who has abandonment issues, you can definitely use that to your advantage. But that's the main reason why I tell a lot of women, hey, man, make sure you fix whatever that is in your psyche before you get into a relationship. Because what's going to happen is you're going to latch on to anything and it's going to stop you from seeing red flags, all because you don't want to be alone. And it's not so much as that person is the person that's for you. It's the person that's there paying attention to you. You see what I'm saying? So you'll start to overlook a lot of things that you probably shouldn't because you haven't fixed that abandonment issue. And in the wrong hands, that could do a lot of damage to somebody's psyche. Really it could. Go ahead, Uncle Dan.
No doubt, man. That's good. Hey, we rocking and rolling. Jamie, it's on you. What, it's not on you?
It's on Ash.
Oh, my bad, Ash. Go ahead.
See, you done took my spot. Nobody knows that I'm last anymore.
That's
Mind your business. Mind your business. Stay in your lane, okay? Stay in your middle lane. Okay, y'all done said everything. Pretty much, to me, I was going to say it's in the eye of the beholder because everybody's definition of toxic is different. But I do agree with everybody on the panel, though. You got the master manipulators, you got the master victims, especially let's just talk about the master victim. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I did.
I was gonna go there. That was gonna be my next question. Wow.
Oh, okay,
Go
let's go
ahead.
ahead and bring it in the room. The master victim is like, oh, you don't do this for me. Oh my God, what? I don't understand why you just won't. And it's like, okay, wait. Why are you crying out of nothing? Because I saw this stuff done. I'm like, really? You falling for that dude? Like, going on here? She crying for no reason, and I'm like, how does this work? Because to me, I'm a genuine person. I don't wear my feelings on my sleeve. And I'm like, how you crying because he didn't do what? You broke up with him because he didn't do what? Excuse me. There's some of us out here want a decent man, and you out here just throwing away like you playing, what is that, Pokemon, go out there and catch them, and release them back. But the master victim, that's who people don't give credit to, because that woman or that man will play on every insecurity you got to keep you either below them or in a space where you feel like you can't be without them.